How's it going, guys? Cracked Rack here, and it's probably obvious to you if you're a regular viewer of mine that I'm not the nicest guy, I'm not very agreeable. I've always been super opinionated and cocky. It's just in my DNA to be a douche, I guess. And my behavior over the last 5 or so years has gotten me in a lot of hot water and has garnered me a lot of wisdom on what not to do in life. I've been fired from about 8 different jobs in my life over the last few years. Today's story in particular is about how I got fired from the popular fast food chain McDonald's. Now, McDonald's is one of the worst places I've ever worked in my life. The working conditions are sweaty and gross, the managers are dicks, the hours are brutal, and there's no union protections 90% of the time with these jobs, so the management can just treat you like total dog shit with no consequences. Now, this story takes place a few years ago when I was 17, I was living with my parents, I had just dropped out of high school, and I wanted to start a short film project, but I didn't really have a budget, and I needed one really badly, so I applied to my local McDonald's so that I could get some income. They called me back the next day, interviewed me a week later, and then boom, I had the job. Easy as fucking pie. Now, when it comes to doing work on the computer, I'd say I'm almost professional level. I take great pride in my video productions and such. However, when it comes to physical labor, I am a useless, retarded sack of shit. And that is exactly what I was when working at McDonald's. The first day there, I realized instantly that it was a mistake to get a job at McDonald's. See, working at McDonald's is not as easy as people make it seem. To be even a halfway decent employee there, you need an amazing work ethic, the ability to work like hardcore 10-hour shifts with just no sweat, you need to be an amazing multitasker, have great communication skills, and you need to be appropriate at all times with the things you say and do. None of these things applied to me at all. First of all, I had no fucking clue how to assemble food, which was my job at first. Making a Big Mac was like rocket science to me. I am the shittiest chef of all time. And on my first day there, when I was preparing Big Macs and shit, I was so piss poor at it. There was an entire line of cars wrapping around the McDonald's multiple times because of me, because it took like an hour to fulfill even a few orders, and everyone hated me for it. So they took me off of chef duty and put me on the DriveThru, which was an even bigger mistake, because 17-year-old me thought the script McDonald's provided you for what to say to customers was stupid and frankly a waste of time. I wanted people to think I was a cool McDonald's employee who was rogue and didn't follow the rules. So instead of being like, "Welcome to McDonald's, how can I take your order?" I shit you not, I'd greet customers with a, "Hey, what's up, you want to order something?" And then when they'd drive up to the window, I'd start casually cussing in front of the customer to look cool. I'd be like, "Yeah, man, this fucking Big Mac is gonna rock your world," and just dumb shit like that. Very few people appreciated it and were just really uncomfortable. I also did something else super douchey, which was anytime a moderately attractive girl was at the drive-thru, I'd hit on her and give her my number, which sometimes would work in my favor, but most of the time it just made me look like a douchey creep. One time I hit on a girl at the drive-thru and my coworker tapped on my shoulder and revealed it was his wife, and he had multiple children, so that kind of put an end to that adventure. Now, I wasn't very well liked by my coworkers here, primarily because, well, I was a douchebag, but on top of that, every single person who worked there was extremely Christian. I lived in a town of 2,000 people, and most of them were Christians. And I'm this edgy, heavily tattooed, creepy guy, so pretty much every single person there at that McDonald's was extremely uncomfortable when talking to me. Like, there was this one 16-year-old tiny little white kid who every time I talked to him, he would just freeze up and become super awkward until I went away. I also had this super annoying coworker who happened to be gay, which no problem with gay people at all. I have gay family members myself. But the reason he was annoying is he was heavily egocentric and constantly put others down verbally. Very flamboyantly. He thought he was like fucking James Charles, but he was actually just an 18-year-old McDonald's manager. Every single time an attractive dude came into the building, he would always rush to the front of the McDonald's to take their order first, and then he'd talk about how hot the guy was for like hours. I hated this guy mostly because he always tattled on me every single time I did something mildly against the rules, which, I mean, yes, he was a manager, but it was ridiculous shit. Like, if I just took a few seconds to go to the back of the McDonald's and check my phone really quick, he'd instantly go tell the GM, and I'd get written up. Anyway, I lasted about 3 months at this job before I was officially fired. There were a few incidents that got me written up to the point of being fired, and I'll tell you about all 3 of my major fuck-ups. That resulted in job termination. The first thing I did was one day when it was just me and some redneck dude on duty. I found like this weird turkey baster thing on the cooking table, so I took a picture of it and posted it on Instagram with a caption stating that it was actually a vaginal douche. One of my coworkers saw it because I put it in the hashtag McDonald's, and he told the GM, and she wrote me up stating that I was making the brand look bad, which fair enough, I don't think anyone wants to eat a Big Mac that was next to a vaginal douche. The second incident with me was my most cringy mistake yet. This average-looking girl was at the front counter, and we were flirting because I had to get my douchebag quota in for the day, and I wanted to impress her with how extreme I was. So I started talking loudly with her about how much I like to fuck, and ways I like to fuck. My manager overheard this and put a stop to it as soon as it started. She was having none of it. She told me if I ever did that again, I would be terminated instantly. Fast forward a few weeks, and we're at the final straw of my relationship with McDonald's. See, it was like 10 p.m. and we were gonna close in like 20 minutes. There was really nothing to do because it was a slow day, and we had already cleaned everything up and prepared for closing, yet the stupid bitch manager there was yelling at everyone to still be in their work position, like they needed to stand upright and look productive for hypothetical customers that may or may not come in. But there were no customers coming in. It was like 10 p.m., so I decided to protest this by pulling out a stool, sitting on it, and playing on my phone in the middle of the McDonald's. This resulted in the manager immediately coming out and screaming in my face, "If you're not gonna do anything, just get out!" And that I did, friend. I drove home in the cold snow because it was winter, got on my computer, and didn't really give a shit at all about what had just happened. Overall, the moral of the story is, if you choose to subject yourself to a fast food job for whatever reason, just know that you have to essentially cut off your testicles and essentially be a puppet of the GM, or else your ass is grass. That's the end of this story. I've also been fired from Subway, Burger King, Taco Bell, Starbucks, and Chipotle. No joke, so if you want to hear those stories, just tell me. See ya.